The National Democratic Congress is facing criticisms over its decision to clear Baba Jamal contest the Ayawasu East by-election, despite allegations of vote inducement during the party's recent parliamentary primary, with some describing the decision as endorsing an illegality. Baba Jamal, who was serving as Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria, was recalled by President Mahama after he admitted on camera to distributing items, including television sets, to party delegates during last Saturday's primary. Now, following a review of a report by a three-member investigative committee, the NDC's Functional Executive Committee has now approved him as the party's candidate for the March 3 by-election. Michelle Latte has more in the following report.
The February 7 NDC primary saw Baba Jamal Mohammed Ahmed declared winner ahead of the March 3 by-election following the death of the sitting MP. The process was, however, marred by allegations of vote buying, triggering public outrage and calls from some NDC MPs for the election to be annulled. Baba Jamal was later recalled from his post as Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria. The party subsequently set up a three-member committee led by Kofi Totobi Kwache. After 2 days of investigations, the committee submitted its report. Committee member Inusa Husseini says all candidates who contested the primary were interrogated.
It's a committee of FEC, and so we've submitted a report.
With the investigation concluded, the party then had to make a decision. After hours of deliberations, General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Fiafikwete, revealed that all candidates admitted to giving items to delegates, describing them as motivation.
The long and short of the report was this, that inappropriate conduct was exhibited by virtually almost all the candidates. Even though you cannot establish, because the candidates were clear that what they did was in light of motivating of delegates. We believe that was inappropriate.
Despite the admissions, the party said it could not annul the results of the primary, contrary to the calls from some MPs in Parliament. The Functional Executive Committee therefore endorsed Baba Jamal as the party's candidate. Fifi Kwete explained the decision was influenced by the February 11 deadline for the submission of nominations.
Ideally, we should have an annulment of the primaries. However, the committee also acknowledged that there are real obstacles that make it difficult for us to do that. One, the party's constitution does not have a provision for an annulment of election. Two, we are time-bound because we need to be presenting a candidate by tomorrow to the Electoral Commission.
Joining me via Zoom now for a conversation on this developing story is a senior lecturer with the Political and History Department at KNUST, Professor Samuel Edujemfi. Thank you so much for joining us on the news today. So, the committee established allegations of vote buying during the primaries, but based on time constraint, they went ahead to clear Baba Jamal to contest. What do you make of this decision?
It's a difficult one, my sister. It's a very difficult one because if you look at what is happening today, you realize that the party has done its job. It has come out with its own findings. It shows clearly that the process that led to the outcome had a lot of challenges, necessitates annulment. Unfortunately, what we see is that the party cannot do that because the Electoral Commission itself is not interested in ensuring that our political parties conduct themselves well. If the Electoral Commission was interested in that, it would have used this as a test case to allow a party which is in government, which is in power, to right its own wrongs, for it to serve as an example for their counterparts, the NPP, and the other smaller parties. It seems to me what the Electoral Commission and the Commissioner is interested in, largely, is to see that they have that by-election. And once that is done, they will go back to relax or go back to sleep. And that is where I have a lot of worry. The fact is that the Electoral Commission should not only be interested on election day, counting of votes and declaring a winner, as it is known historically. It should be interested in the processes that lead to the D-Day of election and also the declaration of a winner. The processes require how individual contenders or contestants or competing parties conduct themselves. The processes that lead to giving birth to them as candidates are issues they ought to and must be interested in, i.e. questions about who finances them, how they have financed their campaign, and how, they came about that. I believe that all these things have the tendency or proclivity to shape how our political parties conduct themselves and also candidates also conduct themselves. Again, it is also critical to understand that the broader framing of the discussion on political party financing is critical. Years ago, a certain MP was found out or found culpable of dealing in cocaine. You remember the story? You realize that when political parties are financed by outsiders or businessmen or other actors, state or non-state actors, these people end up becoming puppet masters. You can imagine if a certain cabal, an oil cartel, or individuals whose sources of income or wealth is, very, very dangerous, end up financing political parties and individuals. They are those who be acting as puppet masters and invariably dictate the course of the state. And so when we sit aloof and are not interested as to how these politicians and also the political parties are financed, but we are only interested in who becomes an MP and who becomes a president, we are joking and we may end up messing up our democracy. Okay. The extent of corruption, the extent of monocracy is what is leading up to that. But research backs this. If I would have a point to that, few months ago, myself and a colleague, Sebastian Palu, did research in the Ashanti region, two constituencies. The Electoral College, the kingmakers, several of them are unemployed, cyclically or structurally unemployed. Okay. Several of them are doing a master's program or are now doing a degree. Several of them are farmers. They are doing different things, but they do not earn high income. Within this period, they expect to make this money. Okay. They give it different names. So the Electoral College itself must turn away from evil, because those who are paying and those who are taking are equally culpable.
Do I hear you say that there's quite a problem with the delegate system of voting? Are you supporting the calls for dismantling that?
I think that is where we need to be aiming at, because over the years, in my contemplation, I thought that growth in terms of having more literate society and having our democracy evolving in terms of, broader discussions on the discourses on our democracy will lead to the Electoral College conducting themselves well. Okay. But they have found means of rather sabotaging the process. And I think that maybe we need to begin to look at different pointers. Prof, that would serve a better cause for us.
Prof, thank you so much for your time.